Yeah, dude, like there's a real good chance of this being the circumstance. Hold on, my audio's not running. Let me go see if I can fix that too. Maybe I can do that from here. Is it not running into there? Doesn't really matter. But I like things to work. Sweetest motherfucker in the game, DJ Kombat, Daddy Ritchie. How you doing, baby?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Pull that mic up a little bit closer. Don't you be playing me like that.
All right.
You DJs are all the same. You take that mic, you put it on the table, you go back to doing your thing. Someone comes up, spills 3 drinks on that fucking table. You pick it up, you're like, yeah, this is mine. Is that LaCroix, baby?
They missed the microphone on me. It's always on my laptop. So.
Is it really? How many times you lost a laptop to Askew Liquids?
Man, Tin Roof, I've been through about 4.
That is crazy.
Other venues, probably, yeah, I've probably been through about 5 or 6 laptops through my career.
So when you see someone with like the laptop lift, that's not like an aesthetic I like to have it at eye level. It's like this thing needs to be protected.
Yeah, I need to use that more often. I'm kind of lazy. I just put my laptop to the right, and I'm like, let's just no drinks over it. And then the people who are like, actually, this is important. If
Pull that up a little closer.
If you're ever given a DJ a drink, go around the equipment. And people were like, I'm not going to spill it. I was like, it's never the person who has a drink. It's the person that bumps into them that spills a drink, which has happened way too often. Because nobody ever, like, I got it, but it's like, okay, but is your environment safe enough for you to put the drink over it? Like, no, like, just go around. I mean, it's...
But this is coming from the guy that, I see you build nice booths on Instagram, like this is a liftable table. I'm like, look at Kombat doing great things for the DJ community, making this shit homey. Or they put together a booth at the roof for you, and you fucking go rogue in the crowd on a table that debatably has 3 legs, okay? This shit does not work. And, like, if I pop over and I'm going to watch your shit, I'm standing behind you, I try to be reverent, I try to stay out your space, and I'm just in awe of the magic man working his fingers.
No, it's,
I'm back there with 3 fucking... You know, these guys are in the K-hole, and they're just like dancing on you, I swear to God, and people are trying to give you drinks. Everyone wants to dap you up. I'm like, I'll wait till he sees me, then we'll address this. People grabbing you by the shoulders. Why do you like to be out there like that?
You kind of get a feel of what the environment is when you're in it. It's like the boiler room sets is kind of what set that off. And when I first started working at Tin Roof, like, they had me like on Tuesdays, or we started like a Tuesday or a Thursday, I forget what night it was. And they put me on stage, and I'm like, there's like 10 people in here. I'm like, we need to condense the room. So I was like, let me set up on the floor, and that way it cut the whole room in half, and then people would just hang out at the one bar.
Mm-hmm.
So then it just started getting busier, and then nights like that, I'm like, damn, it's slammed in here, and I'm on the floor, and all you can, like, you're not on stage. Like, I'm like, this is kind of cool. It just gives you a different vibe. But,
I mean, the people behind you have this feeling of like superiority, almost like they're anonymous to the room. And it's fucking bizarre. Like, I sneak back there and I'm like, I'm gonna combat homies, okay? I can hang back here. Like, I tell myself this is an exclusive zone, and even I know better. But I look back and I swear to God, this guy's in the K-hole. He is wearing a suit. I don't know where he's been all day, but he's clearly sweat through this thing twice. He's dried out and he's come back. He's a fucking moist towelette that's been out the case for 3 days. It is raw. And he wants to come up and tell you what to fucking play.
It's funny. No, it's funny. You take their consideration. Never say yes, never say no. Just say maybe. And then they're like, what? I'm like, maybe.
Well, I was talking to, I think it was Hunter, and he was talking about Danny being at one of his DJ sets and kind of calling him tunes. And it's like, it's different when someone's calling your set versus giving you something to play, because the challenge of thinking 6 songs ahead and trying to integrate is a really impressive skill that people don't think about. Like, when you're forecasting your set, how much do you preload on your other discs, and how much do you think past where that song is going to fit?
So depending on the set and the location, With the program I use, there's a thing called a prepare crate. So the prepare crate is kind of used like when DJs back in the day who used real vinyl, they would come up with their crates and then they would set up records like diagonal kind of, to where it would like pop out and be like, okay, this is kind of the direction that I'm going. So they'd set records aside instead of like digging the whole time, and that's their prepare crate. They're like preparing. So with Serato is like, I'm going through music and I'm like, all right, we need to get from point A to point B. Okay, where's point F at? And then you start like looking through songs that are all kind of in the same genre, but you're trying to bridge into like maybe another genre. So you have to do it in a way like slowly build it, and then you take the records that you want on Apple laptops, you hit Command P, and it puts the song in the prepare crate. So when you open the prepare crate, you have this whole list of other music that is in your whole library that you're like, this is the zone that I'm in now.
And is that like it's a temporary cache as songs? Or like, cool.
For
so
the night.
You're not really moving files.
No.
You're just preloading the information. Say, hey, I'm going in here. This is kind of the sequential
direction
order.
That we're at. Yeah, like if it's, all right, 80s party, you start on your library, cool, like while one song is playing, you should be like, okay, let me pick this song. Oh, this is a good song. All right, let me get this one. Put them all there. You might not use everything in the prepare crate, but at least it gets you in that mindset of, okay, this is the direction that we're going now.
Yeah.
Okay, if I got to switch this up in an hour, you know what, let me prepare crate again. Boom, 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 boom. Like, I say that it's a very useful tool. I use it every once in a while, but a lot of shit I do is just
on the fly.
It can turn sloppy. Add alcohol into it, it's over.
I walked up and I was hanging out with Rue, and I was like, he was like, man, he doesn't know what he wants to play tonight, but he's playing it all. I'm like, that's our fucking boy. That's why we love it. And it's like
it could be a problem.
But, you know, that's the same thing in the acoustic songwriter environment where it's like, you're going to come up and ask for your modern country. And then, like, in my world, I go 50-50 original cover. So you're going to give me a request. I'm going to play your request. I'm going to give you something from my catalog that matches. I'm going to probably go back into that genre that you're kind of talking me through and see if that's where the rest of the audience is at.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I know that, you know, for my own personal reasons, if I'm going to keep going back to my original catalog and I have to bump and pair like that, I'm going to run dry in certain aspects of genres. It's like, I don't have a lot of country tunes, you know, so I'm going to run out there. So I need to kind of build this climax intentionally so that I don't hit my ceiling, show my ceiling, and now start to play 75% ball.
Right. Yeah, it's like you don't show your whole hand.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like constantly, you ride them there, and then, I mean, there are certain times of the night, as a DJ, I don't know, probably as musicians, as a DJ, where I've done it, I've seen DJs do it where they kind of blow their load by like 10:30, 11 p.m. and they're like, oh, it's going to be a long night for you. Dude. Where do you go from here? And they're like, man, they drop the ball and it is what it is. But if you can slowly tease them and then build it, I mean, that climax when you hit it at the right point is, it's something else.
But it's so interesting too when you say climax and general listeners are thinking like, what is that? Like, is it the top 40 tracks that you know have been bumping for a while? Are they nostalgic hits? Is it a combination that you've just labeled A+ listers?
Climax for me in a DJ set is whether it's a top 40 night, if it's a house music night, if it's an EDM night, if it's a country night. Climax is when you have reached pretty much like, holy shit, he just built this whole set. This is like the headline act of the act, and you're just going off.
But how do you know what song or what reference is going to be that?
Depending, like a lot of climax songs for like an open format club is when you reach like the Party Up DMX.
Okay.
That's one of the climaxes where you're like at 100 beats per minute, you know, like routines like that. With Party Up, you go into like Be Faithful, like that's like the old Crook and Clan type shit.
Yeah.
And then you have the climaxes where you can be upper BPMs where you're getting into like the sing-alongs. Like I said, this is open format stuff, so it's like songs like Firework by, you know, where you're making people sing. Clarity Zed, like these are all like sing-alongs. Like those are like climax peak hours. But you could do that, and then you could bring them back down to, like I said, Party Up at 100 beats per minute, or you can go down to the 70s BPMs, which is like more hip-hop, trap.
Yeah.
So there's different pockets of it, but the climax of it is like the Party Up DMX or like the Firework or like Shots by LMFAO, like back in the day, where it used to be like that's what people sung to, and
Yeah.
but
Well,
there's different pockets.
And it's almost involuntary that they sing to it. It's
Yeah.
like the tables are going to erupt with this.
Right, like Country Roads, John Denver. I can
Yes.
play that song. Like I'll do a routine where I like start the song loud, and then I'll start to like stem out like the drums and the bass line, and then it's just the acapella, and then I'll just completely cut the song out, and the whole room is singing it.
Dude.
So as soon as they're singing it, and I'm just like let them sing it, and then as soon as they're done singing it, drop into a song with like a strong chord progression, like Truth Hurts, where it's like down, 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 or drop into like just a very familiar beat like Mac Miller's Donald Trump, where it's just right from the beginning, no intro, just let it hit.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious to see people's reactions.
How much of like classic vinyl DJ culture of like the Walk This Way intro or things that have like you're kind of saying intros that are so recognizable but they're also super malleable for your own use has made it into the totally digital world?
It's really tough because there's some songs that are just timeless that like
YMCA.
Usher, YMCA, yeah. Like, but that has more of like a disco intro. There's companies out there back in the day with like real records. They used to make intros on like real press vinyl, and it used to be just like a beat, and then they would like incorporate the song. It's like some songs, if you incorporate that backbeat to it, you're taking away from the song.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It makes it more mixing. It just made it more mixing friendly for DJs to be able to mix from genre to genre.
Yeah.
But you got songs like Usher's Yeah, where it's like just drop it from the piece up, A-Town down, and then that initial hit, like boom, bump, like that is like alone to make people's heads turn like, oh shit, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
but I've heard people try to mix it in. I'm just like, you're kind of taking away from the excitement of the drop of that song.
Yeah.
So, but it's
The
just,
anticipation that you've learned from listening to the track on its own.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of reverb and silence and drop a song can go a long way. But it's just like simple tools like that I guess with time you'll learn.
Yeah. Me and Hunter were also talking about this thing that if you're good on the mic as a DJ, you have more permission to go hard left or hard right because you can give verbal context to that. And it's like a weird part of band culture is most bands, myself included, haven't prepared their set well enough that song's going to stop, song's going to start, and there's going to be no silence in between because we forecasted that this is not a speaking moment. This is a moment of build.
Yep.
And reserving those speaking moments so you're not just feeding them nonsense. It's really intentional.
Yeah.
In your own DJ career, what's it been like to find out what you do want to go on the mic for and what you don't want to go on the mic for?
What you do, I mean, for my instance, like birthday shout-outs, great, but you say, shout out to all my birthdays, you've opened up the floodgates for, here comes a line of people.
Yeah.
Say my name, say my name, say my name. I'm like, here we go. And then by the 6th, 7th person, happy birthday, Lauren. Now happy birthday. I'm like, all right, guys, like, just, here's all the birthdays.
Just became retirees bingo.
Right.
It's
So
like
it's
B6,
like,
fuck it, fine.
it's a good reaction to start. The cool thing about like Tin Roof's DJ booth where you're like elevated away from people, they really can't get to you. So I'm like, all right, cool. But nowadays people will just stand there for 30 minutes with their phone. I'm like, go enjoy your night. Like,
Yes.
Relax.
Well, and the phone hold is so interesting, dude. It's like people put some serious work into their teleprompter. It's scrolling, it's dancing.
Dude,
It's like,
yeah, I'm like, where did you get the Snapchat feature? Like, I don't know what's going on, but
yeah, not only
good.
a Snapchat filter, but like, how long you been sitting at your table making sure this thing was right? Or I love when someone holds up a phone that's already turned off, like you can't read shit. And I was like,
yeah. Already know. Trust me, they'll hold it in front of my face, and I look everywhere but at the phone. I'm like, sometimes like I'll see it, and I'm like, if it's within the genre and the spectrum that I'm playing, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just have fun with it. Sometimes people will come up to me and act like I don't speak English. Sometimes people come up to me and they'll request a song and I'll be like, I don't have it. And like right as they're walking away, I'll play it. And they're like, they get all confused. I'm like, it's all about having fun. I mean, I try not to be an asshole, but man, some people are super entitled.
Yeah. So. Well, I think Spotify and streaming has just changed what people think you're capable of. It's like, I'm here to cater to your good time, but I'll look at you and your request and say whether or not I think you're on point for the room, or if it's a load of shit. It's
dude,
like,
I can't imagine as a musician. I mean, for you, it's got to be because I'm playing a song, literally just playing a song. You guys are playing a song. So it's like
there's some other information that you need to know to make things happen.
Right.
It does make the turn down excuse sometimes easier, but I think people have conflicted, live music in terms of DJs and musicians to getting on YouTube and putting it in, and it's there and it's perfect. And it's like, you don't understand how difficult it was for that band to pull that off, or for that DJ to integrate the way he did. And there's been there's been a loss in tipping culture in terms of appreciating that thing. And I'm not saying you need to give me $20 every time you want to hear me like Nashville. It's like, we don't have those same standards.
Right.
But put a note in the bucket. Show your love in a way that you participate in the music. Like, if you give me a request and I play it for you and I don't get applause after, that's the moment where
Like,
I was telling somebody
what? Yeah, no. I feel you.
They were like, how do you deal with confrontation? I was like, if I have a microphone, I get petty. It's like, because I got the power. I'm going to say some shit.
Trust me, I've gotten petty. I think one girl, what is a Britney Spears? She was requesting a Britney Spears song, and I played it, and as I played it, I got her kicked out. I was like, this one's for you. And she's like getting escorted out. I got the Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time. I forget what song it was, but
scandalous.
Either way, I was like, here's your request. Enjoy it from outside.
Dude, damn straight.
She was like rude. Like, I didn't just kick her out for no reason. She was like rude and like entitled and like cussing me out. And I was like, all right, dude, come on. Like,
well, one thing that the musical environment of all cities is something that they have to feel themselves out in time, and it's the interaction between artists that make those things come together. But I can't tell you how much I enjoy, even if I'm not popping in and seeing you personally, how much I enjoy having that option of when someone's sitting in there with me and I take a break, I tell them, like, one of the baddest motherfuckers is 15 feet from here if you want to go check out something different and come back. Because I think the ebb and flow, one, encourages bar sales.
Yeah.
Two, it lets you get the diversity so you don't get burnt on one of the other experiences.
Right.
And three, it's like, it gives us both some relief to see something else. Like, when you stop out and you see me before a set, it's like, it speaks something in my soul to say that you made the time for me in that.
Yeah.
When I try to do the same for the Shot 30 guys, it's like those kind of interactions, and not just your personal time, but encouraging other people to spend their time is crucial when it comes to making the most of the street. And sometimes, as we see between bars that are next to each other or across the street, the rivalry is so real.
Oh, dude.
And it's like, we cannot get a famine mentality about this shit, or else you end up with a very petty block.
I agree. And I mean, as like DJs and then musicians, everybody should be supporting everybody. I mean, we're all in here to entertain people, right? Unfortunately, you got your bad apples that they have their ulterior motive that just I don't agree with sometimes with some people's ulterior motives, but like getting along with the musicians and supporting and stuff is one of the best feelings ever. I mean, dealing with a lot of live musicians because of Tin Roof, I'm always like, they look at me like, oh, he's just a DJ. I'm like, yeah, but I'll help you wrap up this cable. And they're like, all right, it's cool. And then it's like you start breaking down those walls, and you're like, so I do love music just like you. And then they'll like hear me play, and they're like, oh, like he's not just pushing buttons. And I'm like, but you were judging me before you knew me. But you know, it's like everybody should be working together in essence, like whether it's musicians, DJs, whatnot.
Now, I do think one of the big differentiators between you and certain artists is like, I like when people solo. I like when people improv. I like when people go out on a limb with the music and they make something special happen, then they return to firm ground. So when I see an acoustic guitar player just chording along, singing the songs, it's like, that doesn't scratch my itch, because you gave me nothing different. I saw you pull up the chord chart, I saw you run it down and get out of there. To me, that's the equivalent of hitting start and hitting stop.
Right.
So when I see someone like yourself, whether it's your scratching or whether it's your disassembling and reassembling of songs and the mixture there, it's like, that's musicianship to me. And one thing that you've done really well in the DJ community is bring about an aura of positive competition through the battles. And also, are you going to participate in the battles this year?
Well,
we talked about it.
I really want to, but I need to pass the reins to somebody who can take care of that. I mean, it's been my baby this will be my 11th year. Last year was the 10-year anniversary, probably the biggest battle we've ever hosted. And I mean, we had people from all over the nation. We always have people from all over the nation compete, but I mean, we had people, like I said, the dude who won is from Florida, people from all the way out in California, like flying in. I'm like, okay. Now I'm like, yeah, I want to compete. I want to compete so bad.
Yeah. Do you think it should be handed to someone that is inherently not interested in competing?
I think they should be interested in the whole aspect of everything. They should be as hungry as I am and as passionate as I am about the music. Like, I can come off like an asshole.
Dude,
I am an asshole.
You're a different person during those couple weeks,
right?
Because you have such a big ship to steer,
right? But it's like it's still for the culture, like still do it for the music.
You'll walk in, this guy's wearing a cowboy hat and he's got his shirt tucked in. He's not going to talk to you because he got to wrap some shit. Okay,
oh my god,
dude. And I love seeing the two monitors blowing one dude out there, and then the fucking speakers from the ceiling are just shaking the foundation of somebody's home. Like someone lives directly above that, and I can't believe that shit during those weeks.
It's so much fun, and yeah. Man, that's a really tough question right now because I'm supposed to be opening a restaurant in a month, and
not supposed to be. You're opening a restaurant. Timelines are disturbing. Brick and mortar stuff, man.
It's just.
But as we start to talk about that, one thing that I was thinking about today, like every time I get a chance to sit down and talk to you, it's like there's questions I've had for months, and there's things I'm thinking of right now, and differentiating between those two. But you participate in these two maximized love languages of music and food. Dude. And when it's just you in a room with a friend and you put a song on and it hits, there's moments where you and I have texted back and forth and it's like, oh, that's the song that changed my fucking year and I needed that.
Yeah.
Or that's the meal that I've been looking forward to all day. Those type of individual moments of intimacy and joy are like so resonant to who we are. But then you take that to the public and it ends up with the guy holding up the phone or the person sending their food back.
Because you put so much work into something and it's like somebody doesn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's like when we take out the food truck, literally like whether who's working with me, whether it's my sister, my mom, my little sister, whatnot, like Indy 500, we would serve people like food and then we'd be like, what's their reaction? And then we'd see them walk away and like wait for their first bite and then they'll take their first bite and they're like, I'm like, all right, they liked it. Like that is like a moment of satisfaction where you're like, we did our job. And I never want to lose that sense of pride, whether it's with music, whether it's with food. Man, some of my favorite times is getting behind that flat top and it's like 300 degrees and I'm hungover as shit. And I'm like, I got to cook all this steak. Fuck it. Here we are. And it's like kind of therapeutic because it takes you away from what your normal life is. And you're like, this is what I'm focused on right now. I don't want to have to worry about stress that's going to happen in a week from now. Just do this right now.
Yeah.
That's how music is to me sometimes, where I'm like, this is my job. But when I used to own my previous restaurant, I tried to DJ, and I was like, all right, focus on music. That table's dirty. Focus on music. Pick up that cup. And I'm like, I can't. I hated DJing because I was like, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I need to focus on the restaurant.
Well, that's how I feel about life. That's people have asked me with buying a house, like, you gonna move your studio? It's like, fuck no. Like, this is where I work. Yeah, this is where I work, and when I step down here, I got shit to do, and that's where I go home to.
That's the mindset, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like when you're doing multiple jobs within this vicinity, you can't do just one of the jobs because you know it's still on you and that.
Right.
But I think knowing that balance of when I get behind the grill, I have a clear mind because it's the one thing I can focus on.
You're just more productive.
But when I get behind the table, it's like I can have passive thoughts and I might be able to wander those things. Mm-hmm. So has owning the restaurant and being in food been an attempt at balance in your life? Or have you now pushed it to being the same thing as DJing, you know?
Oh, man, I think passion drives anything. I've always loved cooking. I mean, as you can tell. I've always loved food. It's just culinary-wise, like, you could throw anything together, but you also do got to respect, like, the stuff you're using. There's some shit that you just shouldn't mix. It's terrible. But I think passion is what drives it, man. Passion and the opportunity and ability to make an impact in someone's life that they've never had before. Someone to remember you, make someone's heads turn and be like, damn, you remember this quesadilla we had at this one place? Ritchie was the guy. I was like, if I can make an impact like that on one person that's positive, dude, that's like the ultimate reward.
Yeah.
I mean,
man, there should be a first bite camera in either next to Lucy's or in the rest.
Like,
just something that makes Instagram reels at the end of the year where it's like, Oh man, I want to see 30 people take that first bite and just fucking beam with a smile.
Right, and there could be some bad ones like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the same dude that's in the K-hole standing by you. This guy comes up.
We're just glad that he ate. We're just glad he ate because he's been on 48 hours, hasn't eaten shit. No, but yeah, first bite camera, like genius, like put it as a booth. I don't know, like ideas like that where you're like, damn.
Yeah. Dude, if you just walked out after, you're like, would you like to participate in the first bite camera? They're like, what's that? You just put a phone in their face, like, eat it. Eat it.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. Like, but, that reaction is huge.
Yeah.
Because if people, like, really like it, they'll bite it, and then they'll, like, shake their head immediately. And
so what's the biggest difference in thought process behind the first opening of Amigos to now, Tulum? Is that the name?
Yeah, Tulum.
What's the big difference in your thought process of opening up your first to now moving on to your second?
Hire a good attorney.
Straight up.
Hire a good attorney. Make sure you get partnership agreements if you got partners.
Yeah.
If not, handshake deals, you'll probably lose.
Yeah.
After that, keep driving for the passion of what you want to provide, what you want to show people. Like, we want to incorporate food that people in the tri-state have never tried, our style. So it's like you're comfortable with the way that you like your tacos. Okay, try it the way that we knew how to eat them. And then if you can slowly start changing the way of their taste palette to open it up more, that's kind of like the direction that we're headed.
Yeah.
But the difference between then and now, oh man.
There's such an experience curve in that. I think it's great to point out, like, there's parts of your team that don't look like parts of your team that are essential. You need a good accountant. You need a good lawyer, okay? Yeah. Have those in your pocket before any venture goes off the ground and puts your financial life at risk.
Right. But also, like, the support from people around you, the positivity that comes when people say, like, man, we can't wait for your restaurant. It makes it great to have this much support, but it also gives you so much more pressure because you have so much more riding. It's like you don't want your second restaurant to be worse than your first one. So as you continue to set the bar, you're kind of like, all right, how do we elevate from the last one? I'm taking everything that I ever learned from my previous restaurant, good and bad, analyzing every single little aspect of it. I'm like, as we're starting to open this one, I keep telling, like, my little sister, and because she was involved in the kitchen in the previous restaurant, so was my older sister, Lucy. I was like, once we
Didn't
open...
one of your sisters just graduate?
She's about to.
Gang?
Eva, yeah.
Yeah, so you share those pictures of the gang?
Yeah, no, super proud of her, Eva. She's a respiratory nurse.
That's
she just picked
man.
up a full-time job at Children's, so it's like seeing her dreams come true on what we were supposed to do as kids, because she came way later. Seeing her achieve everything that we were supposed to is amazing.
Yeah.
And, like, super proud of her. So, like, and she's smart, and, she's just...
Yeah.
Awesome addition to the team, family, everything like that.
But to be around family that is succeeding, man, it's like, I saw a thing the other day saying, like, you learn so much when you move away from your hometown, and I'm a shitty example of that because I'm fucking rather darn nasty. But to be around your family in good and bad times, and to watch them succeed at things that put their entire self to the test.
Right.
It's just fucking fuel on the fire, man.
Right.
It makes you burn different.
And when it's somebody younger, you're like, damn, they're going to take care of me now. Because you're always supposed to be like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. But as you watch, I guess, young adults get older, it's like, okay, there's a lot I can learn from you. And people who don't think that way is kind of tragic because you can learn from anybody. Yeah, doesn't matter how old they are.
I was chatting with someone the other day about how, like, you get less malleable as time goes on, and I don't think that's just being callous. I think it has a lot to do with, like, we have this big scale of if yes, then this. If no, then this. And you kind of work your way down. And eventually you start to realize that some of these routes are inefficient. So you scrap more of them. It's if yes, then this, and that's the action. If no, then this, and that's the action. So as you start to refine your decision-making process, sometimes the right folks that may be less experienced than you, but they're new and they're looking at the problem in a different way, can re-point out things that you started to skip over in time.
Yeah, it's like they relight your fire, where you're like, oh shit, you know what? I didn't have any energy on this, but you just motivated me to, it gives you a different spark. Maybe a different outlook is, I'm trying to say, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Is it hard to delegate in a family business? Or is it easier to talk really point blank to family because they know you for that?
It's really hard to delegate when arguments come into place. It's like I've read a couple books on like putting my own ego aside and like just being able to be like, okay, I need to apologize even though I'm not wrong. And you'd be surprised the reaction that people give you, or even though you don't think you're wrong. I'm not saying that I'm not wrong, but if you apologize even when you don't think you're wrong, sometimes the reaction you get to people is like different. So like when you have family involved and you're like running a business, you're like, this is gonna be a bad argument because then like the personal attacks come in and then you're like, what? Where did this come from? Like,
you remember that Christmas when I was 6?
So
Fuck
I'm
you.
like, hold on, we're getting sidetracked here, and then like, what'd you say? Like, so yeah, and I mean, my family's a family who like doesn't bite their tongues. If there's anybody who pisses me off the most, like my older sister. Like recently, I've just been like, what do you think about this? She's like, yeah, and I'm like, what? And she like won't argue with me. It's like, I'm not gonna tell you no to anything. I'm like, hold on, am I the problem now? Like, but no, it all works out. I mean, when it comes to like serious and like bigger issues, I think we worked out a lot of the kinks at the previous restaurant, and now the conversation's just kind of like, look, we have a goal to make it, and that's it. So.
That's awesome. I mean, to feel like you put all this disgruntlement on that thing that you can label it as pass or fail in these 5 categories. And like you said, we're taking all that and bundling it into this next aspect.
Yeah.
As you've tried these brick and mortar opportunities, do you think it is... do you think that style of food business is overly complicated compared to what you do in the truck, where it's like we roll up, we get the permit to be there, and we sell?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot higher ceiling with brick and mortar. With food truck, it's kind of like, look, we're gonna do this many events a year. They're gonna pay this much. Brick and mortar is, you could make way more money, obviously, or you could lose a lot more money. Food trucks is kind of just an expense where it's like, it's paid off already. What we make from it is like profit.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the money that we spend on food and everything like that. But brick and mortar is a higher risk. I feel like food trucks, I think the bubble for food trucks might be starting to burst soon. It was like huge. I mean, it's still very, very big. But I think the Uber Eats was obviously a very disruptive industry for restaurants. People stopped going to restaurants. But I think it's all starting to come back now. Everything's digital. Drive-through places are still kicking off. Like, I want to open a drive-through quesadilla place. You heard it here first.
Late night?
Yeah.
Strictly late night?
Yeah.
For that K-hole killer?
Quesadillas.
Yes.
See, there we go. Quesadillas.
Yeah, we got a ketamine special on Tuesday nights. It's strictly medicinal, so you're going to need to show some paperwork. But if you're ready to hit the hole, I mean, we got some sauteed onions ready to go right on top of this.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're bringing an attorney next time. We got to lock this in.
Dude, damn straight. Yeah. Shitty this is live on Twitch because someone's going to beat us to the game. Right. I have a massive audience of very loyal listeners. I love you motherfuckers, but tell your friends.
No, it's like I said, brick and mortar is high risk. I love the food truck. I love having both avenues of income. So it's like really cool to be able to provide somewhat of the same product. But I don't know.
It's just, when you look at that business, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of profit margin to be made at any point except in alcohol sales.
Yeah.
It's like the one place where you can always have this fallback, and I feel like people are drinking less and less.
Yeah, so we're going to have like a mocktail menu.
Nice.
I think it's always an option. It should always be an option for people who want to go sober, and people who do want to go sober, support them. It should, that's a positive thing to go by.
Yeah.
Other than mocktails, what brings people together? Food. So food is tough, though, because, like I said, food goes a ways. Alcohol, you can keep a bottle on the shelf for whatever.
Yeah.
Food is like, you need to use this or you're going to lose money on your food costs or whatnot.
And how do you start to forecast out for a new restaurant what the supply and demand is going to be like?
Oh, dude, this first year is going to be a disaster. The first year is just kind of like shooting and missing. Like, like we wanted to open by Cinco de Mayo, not going to happen. But those are the days that you're like, look, we're going to see where we're at. And then by the next year, you start seeing where you were. You start kind of leveling off on what you should be expecting, what you shouldn't.
Do you use an app for that kind of thing? Or you use a spreadsheet? Or?
We don't use an app. We're just I've thought about it for this restaurant. We might. My sister's more handling on like the kitchen side of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be hitting like front of the house stuff. But I think we might, once we reach that threshold, we're gonna have to get a little more organized on how to use that.
Yeah, which it seems like an impossible thing to quantify. But if you do have long-term data, you can make more informed decisions. Yeah. And like, I feel like there's nothing worse than going to a restaurant that's run out of food. You know, if they don't have what you wanted that day. But that doesn't necessarily drive the type of detrimental outcome people assume it does. Like,
no.
If they didn't have this thing you wanted that day, are you more inclined to come back another day to get that thing you want and have this kind of like, oh, I'm not missing out on this? And did you get something still that day? You know, it's not like going to Chipotle, like, we don't have rice, chicken, or steak. And you're like, what the actual
What
phrase?
are you guys, right?
Like, we actually sell the little cellophane packs that go with the tortillas today. That's your main protein source.
I know what you're saying.
People still go through that line, you know?
Yeah.
So to undershoot is definitely better than to overshoot and start wasting food.
Yeah.
And it's criminal the way that they treat you about trying to utilize that food on the way out, too. Like, if you want to go feed the homeless from your restaurant, it's got to hit the dumpster before those guys are allowed to eat it. Like,
oh, man.
You ever heard that rule?
No, I know what you're saying, though, because it's the way the food cost works. It's people just being really greedy at the end of the day. Like, I don't know. Chipotle's one thing. If you're like, go to Chipotle and you're out of chicken, it'd be like, that's a crime.
Yeah.
You can't be out of chicken at Chipotle. It happens one time, cool. But if it happens like, this is the second time this week, like, now there's a serious problem.
Yes.
Back into the house. Who's ever placing the orders? Like, there's a big issue there.
Yeah, we're watching those slowly start to become more apparent, which Chipotle is to avoid, whatnot.
Right. And yeah, that's what's crazy when you franchise out, man. Like, it's quality control.
Yeah.
But.
And is that where the money can really be made in a brick and mortars when you start to do 2, 3, 5 locations?
I wouldn't know that. I mean, I know people that have like started franchises and they seem like they're doing well.
Yeah.
But who knows? I just think quality control is different. Like, and then there's like the different restaurant model where it's like one company, but they have multiple different concepts, like Thunderdome Group, 4EG. Like 4EG has, you know, like they have their one bar, but then like a bar is completely different. But
yeah, they just opened a Shoreline over at Four Seasons, and it's like,
yeah,
are y'all really about to go into the Riverside Grill?
Right,
It's like I want to see how this pops. You know?
I love it though because they're they're just consistent. Like their ownership is amazing people. Like the way that they run things is very consistent.
Yeah.
When you walk into a 4EG bar, you're like, you know what to expect.
Dude, there's no other gig. Well, actually, no. There's 2 gigs in my life. The Fishbowl is one of them, but not many other places that want to do a direct deposit for musicians. It's like, it makes my life easier.
Oh, Danny's doing that?
Yeah. It kind of makes me, dude, that's a Fuse push. If Fuse was the one that made that happen, I think.
Yeah.
And he's telling me to scan this QR code and put in when I played, and it's like, dude, you're asking way too much of me. Like, you understand, like, I'm just not that involved, you know?
No, I feel that. I mean, you know, to each their own. I love the competition that's coming out. That's healthy competition that, like, man, I'm taking something that this bar is doing and learning from that and just creating a good hybrid of positive things from everybody. So,
yeah.
But
well, I think in time, what food culture needs is spots that have high quality in their personnel and their product.
Mm-hmm.
And like, people don't give enough credit to, you go drink at this place because you love the bartender.
Yeah.
And you know that bartender's going to be there. Like, a good comparison is I always tell people, is there anything more devastating than falling in love with a band for an album and then the band breaks up? You know, you start going to a place for a bartender and that bartender leaves because they're having issues with this and that and this person. It's like, it's a hard thing to hire in that first round for people that are going to spend a decade of their life there doing well, doing great business, that want to stay and see it grow. But if that's not the goal, then what are we hiring for? You know, is the guy that's going to be behind the grill fulfilled enough, taken care of enough that you can maintain that quality standard by knowing he's there and you don't have to sweat that anymore?
the problem is people don't appreciate what they have at the moment. They're always like, how can I get better? It's like, sometimes it's going to get worse. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's appreciate what you have now. Like you said, that one album with the band, you know, like people stay chasing the next album that is like, you know, like, and then sometimes people forget, like, damn, just enjoy this album while you have it now.
Yeah.
Because who knows if they break up or.
When that's super interesting because, like, in the same way that you go to a restaurant and there's flagship items. There's stuff that's on the menu that's always on the menu. And they don't change that because that's your consistent want and need.
Right.
Versus this is where we push your palate a little bit. In a live show, with bands at least, you go, they're going to play the hits.
Yeah.
Like, as someone that doesn't have any hits, but I got stuff that's on the top of my Spotify,
Yeah.
I've started to learn time, like, if I don't play those songs for people, I've unfulfilled their request of being there.
Right.
And it's like, so I am needing to succumb to, even if I don't want to play it necessarily, even if I don't want to cook that for the 50th time,
Right.
you serve the meal that they came here
Give
for.
the people what they want.
Yeah, exactly. When I go to
me.
finish line, I want someone to touch my feet. Okay, I'm not coming there for shoes. I want to be held.
Right.
What's the
No.
business model?
Right, and it's all, I guess, what you're remembered as when somebody leaves a venue that you're at, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's DJ, when they leave, what do they remember?
Yeah.
And what keeps them coming back?
Man,
So-
I'll tell you, during this more sober period of my life, learning how to intentionalize interactions with people. When I get off on my break, if I notice that you've been vibing, I'm going to come up and I have my 5 minutes to give you. Then I need to kind of call a boundary at that, because if you talk to someone for too long, you might find someone that they don't like about you. You know, it's like
Right.
you don't want to spend too much time there, just enough to get the point across that you're going to keep being there for them. This is the places they can find you, and this is what you do best. And you try to make that sell, and you try to get out of there, because after that, it's up to them what the experience is going to be.
That's wild that you say that. As a DJ, man, yeah, the culture shock for me as a DJ when, if it's like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. and with the Banks, and I got a DJ before a Reds game, and you know the clientele and crowd, it's like 40, 50, 60-year-olds with their kids, and they see me go out there like, this dude's about to play hip-hop and nothing but rap. And I'm like, I play more country music than you even know. And then they're like, we love this guy. I'm like, because you set the bar so low on my image that once you heard me play, you're like, we didn't expect that.
Is that why artists dress like shit? Is to lower that?
Right? I'm out here homeless, but watch how I fucking play this guitar.
I cut holes in my dress shirts just so people assume that I don't know what I'm doing, because that's a pleasant surprise. Like,
but think about how deep it goes into the entertainment aspect, where you're like, damn, like you literally blew somebody's mind because their image of what it was, and you're like, no, I'm actually like good at doing this, or I'm good at.
Yeah.
That's like the best thing. I don't know.
well, dude, there's also something so funny about like when you are drinking with people. You know, like there's occasions where someone's gonna buy you 2, 3, maybe 4 shots, and you get back up and you do your fucking thing.
Right.
And they're like, dude, I know I'm blasted out here. The fact that you can do that this drunk is so impressive.
I
Like,
can't imagine.
There's an interesting layer. No, you do that. You know, people
I
come up
know.
and they hand you stuff all night, and then they see you go scratch, and you're like, I couldn't hold a
Just watch
pencil
this
right
dude
now.
do 11 shots in the last hour.
Patron time is the only thing that I know
Oh
I've heard
my
tonight.
gosh. That kills me.
Dude, but I also love that you have this motif in your writing. It's like when you look at an author's catalog and there's this recurring character. It's like when I hear that, it's just this tagline of who you are. And as many times have you and I both interacted with each other, and either we're both hammered or one of us is hammered or
Yeah.
neither of us is, like, I don't hear that as a tag that you're not over there crushing it. I hear it's like, oh, the heat just went up. Okay, baby cranking, baby cranking.
Let's go, right?
Check it. I can smell the gas.
Man. The worst part about it is when I hit his Patron time and all the bartenders are in sync and they all bring me a shot at the same time, and I'm like, all right, guys, like
Lethal.
relax. Like, it's 3 p.m. No, but it's
a sign of affection, though, too.
It's funny, man. Like, I'll do it when I'm DJing out of town in other cities, and like I know bartenders, they'll be like, oh shit, like, you know, down in Louisville, like Stubbs and all them, they all know what time it is when that happens, because they all do the same thing. Like, oh, you want one? Like, you want to get buried? Like, no. But no, it's, man, the culture is amazing.
Dude, it's also interesting when you work with bartenders that can't drink on the job. Like, sometimes they're more on the encouragement, sometimes they're less on it. But the main change that's happened for me during this sober period is I've been shotgunning Red Bulls with these
There you
savages.
go.
Like, I can't believe.
Water shots go a long way, dude.
Do you really do the water
Yeah,
shots?
yeah.
Just as an encouragement thing?
Yeah, just kind of like if I'm going sober, I'm like, hey, I'm not drinking today. I'll have a water shot though.
Yeah.
So they'll do their shots. I get my shot of water, and that's it. So
one of the Tin Roof security guys, I'm spacing his name, but I love this guy. He was like, why don't you do a shot of Sprite with me? I was like, I almost don't want to do that because I don't want to pretend like I'm participating in this thing. It's like I've drawn a line of whether I'm doing it or not. So half doing it like that feels even more peculiar. Like the other day I picked up an NA beer, I took a sip, and I was like, this just doesn't feel like what I've decided to make part of my day. But I also understand, like, if you're farther into that process and you're more sure of it, a mocktail sounds nice, an NA beer sounds nice, you know.
Right.
But the subliminal sale of alcohol is a very interesting thing that you need to be up there. Like, even if I'm clearly holding up a giant fishbowl full of water, I'm still going to cheers you, and I'm still going to try to provoke you into supporting this business to the fullest.
But look at, like, mentally what it's done. That's insane to think about. Like, what alcohol mentally has done to people overall over the years.
Yeah.
Like, for you to be like, no, I'm not going to do that because mentally you're, like, not there.
Yes, exactly. It's like I've built up a feeling about this thing that even being close to it makes me feel a certain way.
Dude, when I go sober after, you know, like 1 or 2 months, I've gone 3 months, I've gone a year, whatever, like, when I go sober and the first time that I'm about to drink, it's insane. I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like, anxiety, you don't feel good to yourself, you feel like you're cheating on yourself, you feel like it's a terrible feeling. Every single time that I go sober, I'm like, this will be the last time I'm ever going to drink. And then 3 days later, I'm blacked out, and I'm like, all right, hold on. Like, we can taper off. And, you know, it's definitely come a long way, but when you go sober and you start to drink again, I feel guilty at least. But I've heard other people do as well.
Yeah, and I think there's like you look forward to it for so long, and then you get there and you find out it's not the thing you want. You know, just like the strip club. You get there, you're like, oh, damn, dude, I really spent money to Uber here, and now I'm about to buy an overpriced drink and sit here for a little bit. Like,
dude, I got some friends who love that shit. I hate strip clubs. I'm like, it's a tease to me, but we can go in deeper on why I hate strip clubs. But we were out in South Carolina, and I was DJing at Tin Roof down there.
Yeah.
We all went to a strip club one night. They're all like, whatever, getting their dances on. There was a Golden Tea machine there, and that's what I did. That's all I did at the strip club was play Golden Tea.
That's so spot on for you, bro.
I'm just like, I'm about to break every record on this machine. I don't care if it's at a strip club.
Yeah, back when I was single, if I was on the road and it felt like it, like I'd go before a gig and just kick it for like the half price drinks and talk to somebody, and like I'd bring a little book and I'd be like, I'm gonna get a song out of this. I haven't written a single song out of that. Dude, there was this one gal that told me, she was like, I had this professor from one of the local universities that would come down and see me, and I kind of felt like I was his therapist. And then I found out that he was a psych professor, so I started seeing him as my therapist.
What? Holy shit!
I was like, it doesn't sound like this guy has the professional opinions you need. Like, it sounds like he's trying to fuck.
Right? Like, it's not delivery; it's a porno.
Dude, damn, and the crust is still stuffed.
Oh my god, this shit's wild. No, if you think about it, I'm like, all right, this dude's good. Like, go, professor. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, but it's weird to talk about the sobriety thing too, because like, I feel differently about pot. Like, I've been without it now for the first time in a while, maybe going on like, 5-6 months.
Yeah.
And when I smell it and I'm around it, I'm reminded of the things I enjoy about it without having to participate. And also, my view of those people has not been diminished greatly by seeing them participate when I don't. I don't look at someone getting high and be like, they are so sloppy right now, such a degenerate. It's like,
it never really is that though.
Yeah, like, but it's never like, oh, he can't think straight. It's like, no, don't worry about it,
Right.
Like, cool. Versus being around drunks and not participating, it's like, the smell of your breath offends me. The proximity you had to my face offends me.
Spitting, like,
yeah, you're spitting on me.
You're gonna change your mood here in the next second and be angry for no reason. Like, Pot's like, what? What'd you say?
Totally, and it's like, you've seen Chipper this entire time, and actually, I've been giving you complex insults, but you don't seem to mind that.
Right. Then it hits you like 2 minutes later, you're like, oh, I just got that, bro. Like,
damn.
But yeah, no, alcohol is so different, and it's. I think people need to look at alcohol like a more negative thing. Unfortunately, we know sober people who make a bunch of money off of alcohol.
Yeah.
Which is like, damn, you're getting the best end of the deal on that.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect your life, but you're profiting the most from it.
And it's interesting when folks are sober, but their business is alcohol sales. And the way they look at it, it's like, I don't blame them for taking part in the market. Like, I was talking to my brother-in-law the other day, and he went on like a bourbon selection tour. Like, there's a local liquor store that said, like, we gotta go pick a barrel out. The owner doesn't drink. He owns a liquor store that sells smokes and liquor.
Genius. That's the right business to be in.
And I think he's Hindu. It's some religious reason. He's just like, I just don't participate in that. But you take 5 of your best customers on a luxury tour of bourbon tasting. They have the time of their life doing it.
Oh, yeah.
You're still the sober guy driving your own car. Man, that's the biggest thing. Being sober enough to drive your own car and never having to worry about that.
Right.
What a glorious thing. It's like late night drives still suck, but I'm not concerned, you know?
Right. You're safe. And then, I mean, alcohol is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's what profits the most in the world, I think.
Can I tell you something that deeply upset me the other day?
Oh, God.
Totally unrelated. I went to a beautiful diner near my new home. I was very excited. I got the breakfast special, which is 3 pancakes, 2 eggs, some bacon.
Yeah.
This place is popping. It's like a classic diner that's always full of the kind of people that look like they thought they could smoke in there and stayed even after they found out they couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, they're a little disappointed, but like they're with it. So like I get through most of this meal except for those fucking pancakes. They too thick. So I get through 1.5. And I'm waiting for a box, but this place is packed. So I'm like, I'll go pay, ask him for a box up there, come back and get my pancakes. I turn around. Someone's already sitting at that table. They've already taken away my pancakes. I was devastated. How are you as a restaurant owner going to protect me from people taking my leftovers?
Oh, man. See, that's what's crazy about like the new culture of restaurants is like operators and owners want the tables to turn as quick as possible.
Yeah.
And that place is probably killing it, but that's because they're taking away your pancakes and they're already serving somebody new.
When it turns out I should have waited longer, but it's like I was trying to do right by your business. I should have taken my plate to the counter with me. Then it would.
No, come on. Like, let's not be. Relax. Hold on.
Watching
not
the guy,
all
like,
of us are going to be like that.
Trying to get his credit card out while holding a fat stack. It's like, can you get in there and get my Amex? Like,
Start
it's just
barking
like
at people.
Yeah.
No, I think a lot of that has to do, and I think what our restaurant's going to separate himself a lot from a lot of people is a lot of the attention to detail that we have, whether it's me personally walking around, my dad walking around, my mom being there, just having that feel of like this is really their family, because it is. We're not putting a facade that it's family ran and this and that. Like, no, we really are going to run it.
Yeah. And what a great legacy as a family.
I think people love that. They love that aspect. Like, short story, I was at Hooters a couple years ago when I owned Amigos. And I walked in and I saw they had like chorizo chicken wings. I'm like, what the fuck is chorizo chicken wings? I'm like, dude, I have to try it. Anytime I go somewhere, I'm always like, if they got tacos, I'm trying them. I don't care. I've tried every taco place in the city. I have to do my due diligence, whatever. Anyways, chorizo chicken wings at Hooters. And I'm like, what is, all right. Yeah, let me get them. Server comes up to me and I was like, sorry. And she was like, what'd you think? I'm like, chorizo should be on tacos. She's like, yeah, that's what I say. Like, I love authentic. She was like, I love authentic tacos. And so I was like, oh, what's your favorite taco spot? She's like, there's a place up in Mount Adams called Amigos. And I'm like, are you fucking with me? Like, I was like, hold on. So she was like, yeah, I love it up there. She's like, the food is really great, but you know what I love the most? I said, what's that? She's like, there's a little old guy that walks around and checks on tables and makes sure everybody, he is so nice. Talking about my dad. And I'm like, I was like, dude, this is what makes everything worth it.
Yeah. Did you tell her?
Yeah, I told my dad, and I told her, I was like, I own the place. That's my dad. And she was like, what? I was like, you just gave me the biggest compliment in the world, and you didn't even know it. Like, but that's just like us. Like, we're not fishing for that. It's just being consistent to it and being a genuine business, a genuine person. That paid off. Like, it was, and I didn't expect it, but it was like, my dad is just, I know who my dad is. Like, he sees a little piece of trash. He wants to make sure the place looks amazing. I mean, our family wouldn't even be both my parents, like, they have laid out such a good foundation for us to succeed that it would be like, I'd feel like I'm doing them a disservice if we didn't do things the right way.
Yeah.
But that paid off.
I got 2 things I got to add to that. Number 1, I think you're missing the point. We need to go around to retirement homes around the Start to find some old motherfuckers and be like,
shit.
I just need you to walk around here and pretend like you're doing
touch the
shit.
tables.
Okay, dude, if you just move a cup on somebody's table, they're gonna be thrilled.
Right.
Okay? But when my dad comes to a gig, and I love my father. He's great at sales. He'll borderline harass you with the CD and a business card. People love that shit though. They're like, there's something about a proud father that can't be that annoying.
Yeah, you pay attention because he's speaking out of love.
Yes.
Like there's no ulterior motive there. It's just like I love my son this much. Like it's amazing to see that.
Well, and to think about the work that we do and the way you balance that. It's like, in my mind, the legacy of my work is going to be songs that I always tell people, I want to retire like Bruce Springsteen, man. I want songs that made it into people's lives that I can go still tour on, even if I don't sound my best. And one day I can sell the publishing to those songs as some type of retirement and be comfortable, but still keep doing what I love.
Right.
DJs don't get that same opportunity necessarily unless they're in the original game, because it's kind of like this fleeting moment in time. You provide this great thing from 10 to 2, but at 2:01 people act like the magic of that thing is gone, and it's like it doesn't slip away to the ether. It's in your memories, and it's hard to articulate that, especially when it is fueled by alcohol, and there's a lot of people that forget the great things you do. But the restaurant can be this legacy that 2 generations from you, someone could be running this, and you could be that old man walking around in there, and you're cleaning a table being like, I told y'all, this is shitty Lysol. Like, you cut corners on the wrong things. But people love to feel that someone's put their heart and soul in the breaking of their own back into this place, and they handed it to their children, and their children had reverence for that and take it on. Like, it's so tough for people to have a family business and their kids like, I don't want to take that shit over.
No, right now my sister Lucy, her son Adrian, he helps out with the food truck. He gets the orders, and people love that. They love that touch. And my sister has told me that she'll ask him what she wants to do. He said he wants to take over the family business. So it's like, to me, it's not like something that I'm going to directly profit or benefit from, like, in my lifetime. Like, I could see this being from generations, and that would be amazing to build and establish something like that, but have somebody take care of it long after I'm gone.
Yeah, dude, to hear him say he wants to take over the family business just has to make your heart
like,
swell.
bro, are you crazy? Like, you're gonna hate it by 18, or you're really gonna love it. But it's, you gotta let people decide with their heart.
Yeah, dude. So I'd never watched No Reservations with Bourdain, and I was on my honeymoon, and the flight there and the flight back, they had 1 season of No Reservations, and like, dude, I was spinning that thing, watching what's playing on my Nintendo Switch, just listening to Anthony Bourdain talk about getting too drunk but eating at this restaurant. It's like, it's a hero of the game.
Right.
But the amount of these places, they're family owned and operated for generations, and it's like, that's not just in the food, it's in the walls, it's in the patrons. It's every time you walk in there, you have this profound understanding of what this thing is, and you can't say why until someone tells you that. Like,
but there's a very fine line between the family touch and then the professional corporate touch, because yes, we have the family there and everything like that, but when my dad's in the kitchen and we're serving a taco and it has to be exactly 5 ounces or 2 ounces or 3 ounces of steak in it, my dad's like, give him a little extra, give him a little extra. I'm like, Dad, if we keep giving extra, the doors are going to close eventually because our food costs are going up. My dad doesn't understand that. Yeah. He just sees it as, just make sure that they're happy, they come back. Like, they're going to be happy, they're going to come back because you just gave them away so much free food that, it's...
Totally, but then they expect that on the next time through.
Exactly.
That's such an odd thing with whether it's your employees or your customers. Giving a little bit more at your own expense cannot be routine, or else you end up just crucifying yourself on this thing. And how do you standardize when you grow up? Sorry, I call that a mouth queef. Okay. When you grow up learning to feed from your parents, and this is how they make it, it's like now you're trying to make these things a regular food item for the restaurant, and you're saying it only needs to be 5 ounces, and it can't be 6, and it can't be 4. Right. What kind of tools do you bring in there to make that regular without having to clean 50 dishes about it? Like, are you weighing things as you scale them?
Yeah, once we get like on the bigger like portion size control, like last night I was making churros, and it's a recipe that we got from Guadalajara. I'm like, all right, we gotta perfect this damn thing. So it's like we're making churros last night, making the dough, and I'm like, all right, this is perfect, exactly how I need it to be. It was spongy enough, like the bread was perfect. So then the next step is make a shit ton of dough and then weigh it out. So every single piece of churros consistent, and then have those prepared. So that way, when we're getting an order of it, we just grab a little bag that's already weighed out, and that's it. It's done. When we're serving tacos, the spoons that we use are served in ounces, so we know that one full one. That's how it is. It takes a lot of love away from the home cooking, seasoning with your hand, put a little more salt and put out, and it adds more of like the robotic McDonald's. I mean, if you ever see the assembly at a McDonald's kitchen, it's insane.
Yeah, dude.
Everything is just robotic.
It's just drawers.
It's insane.
It's like there's 2 buns in that drawer. Are there only 2 buns in that drawer?
Right.
It's just there all
right. It's just like everything's already like pre-made. But when's the last time you went to McDonald's and had a bad Big Mac? It tastes exactly the same every single time.
Yeah.
So you try to have that family restaurant feel, which is why you have my dad walking around or, stuff like that, and you want to add the corporate because you can't have both. You will fail.
That's interesting. So like you need the family and the personality, but not in the process necessarily.
Yeah.
But then you look at something like the ultimate example of that in town is the Rubies. Like they finally disclosed their revenue for 2023. You want to take a guess at what that was?
I know. My sister Lucy works HR for them.
Dude, no shit. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's another aspect that is like from the HR side of things. I'm like, man, she has taken so much weight off of our shoulders with like stuff that she knows how to handle. Like my sister Lucy is a boss bitch. Sorry for calling her a bitch, but
no, dude, you should. That's
husband,
family.
And she is like on top of the world. But no, anyways, yeah, they had their best year ever.
Yeah, dude, $100 million in revenue. It's like people can understand that amount of food in that amount of service. But every time I'm playing one of those spots, and dude, I got deep love for the family because when they decided to start letting me,
they're really good people.
Yeah, when they decided to start letting me play there, they didn't come to a restaurant gig or a bar gig. Jeff took his tour bus to Piqua, Ohio, to see me play an original show, and says if you put some covers in there, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, because Ruby's is like. That's the top of the musician game, bro. Like,
dude, and they're so good to me. Like they just got me on for 2025. I'm gonna be doing 2 spots at each location each month. It's like
congratulations, dude. That's
thanks,
amazing,
man. That's the kind of thing that people ask you, like, what do you want to change in your career? It's like I want to be playing more original clubs and things like that, but I also need to be reasonable about the work that pays my bills, and the fact that they're gonna let me do that by my own terms is sensational.
No, that's a great opportunity. When I get a little more money, I'm gonna come see you.
Dude.
But if you got shows at Burger King, I'm there. No,
Actually,
I'm always supporting you, man.
Dude, and again, when you make the time, it means the world to me. And also, like, here's one thing that I wanted to ask you about. So I got a couple of songs in my repertoire. Like, I'm not trying to work on gimmicks per se, but when I'm playing an acoustic set, I rip a guitar solo on every song. I build a loop on every song. Certain things start to be...
That's one of the reasons I love playing with you, dude, because you're like, oh, man, when you go on your solos and shit, I'm like, yes, here we go.
But when I'm around the band and they rip solos, like, these guys are educated, and I feel like a dunce at times. But I'm trying to vary up the ways I take solos. So whether that's with my ring or I'm doing traditional stuff. But now I've been trying to emulate my favorite things I see DJs do, and I'll go and scratch. Okay. So it's like a flip on a distortion pedal, and I'll go side pick, and I'll try to do some phrases there. Where did you learn, like, your catalog of licks when it comes to your crap stuff?
Like scratching?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Is it just sitting there with it, or?
One of my biggest mentors was DJ Mike B from the Animal Crackers. And, I mean, that dude's he's just a G when it comes to turntablism.
Dude,
so
also I've never heard turntablism, and that's fucking fire.
Yeah, I think that was coined by DJ Babu, turntablism. Part of the, I want to say, not Invisible Scratch Pickles. I forget the group name. But yeah, it was a coined term by him. Anyways, as far as like the scratches goes, I'll send you a link to a video of a guy named Shortcut who breaks down pretty much all the scratches, and every single scratch has a name, where it's like babies and stuff like that. But
dude, that's awesome.
My favorite was probably the crab, and that's because Mike used to do the crab scratch a lot. I'm like, I gotta learn this. So I was like, I remember when I was learning, I would have calluses like on the tips of my fingers, like they turned into blisters because I was just practicing so much. And then I'm like peeling them off. And I'm like, here we go again. And then one day it just clicks, and you're like, oh shit, you heard that sound. I'm like, oh my God.
And it's forever under your hands,
oh
man.
My God. Yeah, and then you just fine tune it. So then after you're like, okay, then you become comfortable with it. And I'm like,
dude, that's the one. Watching you
crabs.
3-diddle that thing, it's just like, it's disturbing. It's like, dude, I feel terrible for the women in your life.
No, it's fun because
no,
when it comes out like crisp, because there's days where I'm like, I'm sloppy right now. I'm like, I need to get my shit together, go do a shot or whatever. I don't know. I'm just like, and then there's days where I'm like on and it's like crisp and I'm like, fucking Superman up in this bitch. But
yeah, man,
it's all about just maintaining the consistency and honing in on it. Like the less you do it, the less good it's gonna sound. So
yeah, it's really odd the way that you say. Like sometimes it used to feel to me like, oh, I should go do a shot or I should go take a hit or something. It's like, go get myself kind of relaxed to do this thing. Removing those catalysts and being like, man, some days I just fucking suck and some days I don't. And dealing with that, like there's so much more disdain for your own work in the sober mind, and learning to unroot these mental pathways of where you bury yourself and you don't get better, and just learn. Like I heard this thing about professional tennis players. It's like if you miss the last shot, if someone scores a point on you, you have approximately like 11 seconds to reset your thought process before that next ball comes at you. And you need to learn how to But I heard someone talking about it in basketball the other day where it's like, before you shoot that free throw, you look up and you clear your mind and you come back. And it's like, when you can refine what that window is to get back to baseline and to reapproach, now you have a chance to get better. There's a brutality in it where you step up and you're like, I've done poorly this entire set. I'm an hour and a half into 4 hours and shit's just not clicking. What do you lean on to get yourself better? Is it the externals?
So to be honest, the shots make it worse. But mentally, it makes you like think you're doing better. Best sets I've ever had are sober, hands down. Yeah. Sober sets for me are just, there's no excuse, there's no room for error. I'm not foggy brain where I'm like, what song am I going to go to next? Like, it's just, those are the best sets. As far as like a reset goes, dude, when I go, like, if I have like triple gigs in one day, driving from a gig to another with no music on and just sitting in the car when I get to the venue and I have like 10, 15 minutes on before I go on, I'm just like, meditate. Yeah. Breathe. Like, start breathing, and you're like, all right, cool, go in there. And then if it's like a packed room, the crowd, the engagement you get from the crowd helps so much. So I'm no longer at the point where I'm like taking gigs that's like, what am I going to do with this crowd? Like, I'm getting booked at these gigs because they know what I'm going to be able to do with this crowd. Yeah. So opening days is like one of those days where I'm like, okay, we're going from here to here. I know what my role is. I know what band is coming on after me. I know what band just played before me. So I have to pick up on the energy of the band before me, trickle off of that. And if I want to go into more of my style, I have to start with what the previous band was going, throw in some of my style and my set, tying into what I think what the next band's going to play. So it's quick. Yeah, it is quick. I never really thought about it. Yeah. But I guess it just goes through my head that I'm like, all right.
Totally. I really took a page out of the DJ book for opening day, and I'm trying to get better about this. Like I said, like sometimes there's space in between songs for bands, and there just shouldn't be. It's like it's harder to enforce that with a band because guys need a tune, one guy's getting a drink. Like there's 5 people to keep on track, so enforcing that becomes difficult. But when it's just me, there's no reason to have any downtime. I got a looper in front of me. I can press and stop, you know? So I was trying to figure out, once I make a groove loop, how do I medley this for as many songs as I can? And 45 minutes goes by, and we haven't re-looped anything. We've just cleaned the chord palette and started to rebuild those things. And it was a big compliment for me for Fuse to reach out and be like, people really like the set today. And it's because, like a DJ, it just never stopped. It was incessant. Right. And I built in time for myself to breathe. But without seeing other folks do that, and without seeing, you know, DJs as a peer, or seeing, you know, Spotify as a peer and competing in a positive way against these folks, you don't push yourself to do things that you didn't think were possible.
Well, I think the best thing about watching you play when you do stuff like that, your build and anticipation is insane. You like start very subtle, and then you're like, by the end of it, you're like, holy shit. It's like you built a whole masterpiece with the looper. And I'm like, but you also show your passion in it. You're smiling, you're engaging. Like, you know, there's musicians who don't do that at all. Like I try and like look up a little more. I'm a little like more shy when I DJ and stuff, but I need to engage. I need to have that engagement. That's what's like amazing about you when you play. Like you're looping and stuff, like, and then the way you're going through music, I'm just like, dude. But you enjoy it, and that's what's enjoyable to see.
Absolutely. But the eye contact thing when you're working is really difficult, though, because like so many people are really afraid of you looking at them and them looking at you. Like these moments where you lock, like there's not a lot of room for positive interaction.
No.
Like sometimes I'll make the joke of like, hey, I'll take some requests because no amount of uncomfortable eye contact will let me read your mind, but I'm still gonna fucking go for it. You know, like I'll still look into your soul for no reason, but I ain't gonna get shit from that.
Right. No, yeah. And I mean, some people are just, there's so many different characters when you're out.
Yeah,
and like you said, alcohol. Somebody could be in there just stoned, somebody could be in there drunk, or you could have the K-hole guy with the suit. You never know what's going on.
I'm always just coming up and I'm like, should I bounce this guy for being on Kombat's leg? Like, no, I'm just going to watch and see what he does to Kombat. It's brutal,
K-hole
man.
suit guy. There was a K-hole suit guy one time who tipped me $1,500. He was like, what's your Venmo? And I'm like, can you play this song? And I like played it pretty quick. $1,500. I was like, what? Like,
Dude.
What? No. I was like, hold on. He's like, did you get my Venmo? I'm like, yeah. Like, you want me to like fill out a 1099 form? Like, what's going on right now?
Dude, I had a similar situation that like when tipping culture is hard to fathom for some people, and then folks go way above and beyond like that. Folks don't understand what life-changing amounts of money are.
Yeah.
It's like winning the lottery is never that healthy for anybody.
No.
But $100 can sometimes be the make it or break it between someone making rent. $20 could. $1,500 is the kind of thing that reminds you that not only are you great at your job, but someone at a moment of great generosity might see that and bless you with something
And
amazing.
he didn't bother me. It wasn't like he paid $1,500. I was like, I need the song now, next. It was just like, thanks. I was like, damn, this dude's a millionaire. Or he might have $2,000 in his bank account. And one day he was like, who knows? You never know with people. With the request thing I put up on the TV at Tin Roof, a scan code, I need to put like minimum $5 because people will send me 25 cents, and if I don't play their song, they request it back. I'm just like, maybe they really need that 25 cents. I don't know, but
dude, if anyone ever requests Venmo back, even if I didn't play the song, it's like you still sent that shmoney, bro.
At the end of the sets, I literally will go through and I'll send everybody their money back. Because if not, they'll leave bad reviews. They'll cuss me out, and I'm just like, but I shouldn't.
Dude, you shouldn't feel entitled to. Like, it's good to put on there, like, no refunds, you know? Like,
right.
But I played this show in Cleveland at this little 100-seat club that I love. It's called Coda. And anytime that, like, 3 weeks of the month, I'm in town, making money on the best gigs I can find, appreciating my community for supporting me being full-time in this venture,
right.
and be a good partner and have a home and do all that shit. 1 week a month, I'm out there playing strictly my stuff, trying to find people that enjoy it enough to want to support me for the one thing that I really want to be supported for. And most of the time, that's a losing venture. I pay my guys a minimum. I put us up in hotels. I put gas in the car, and I pay for the vehicle. It's like this is going to be in the red almost 100% of the time.
Damn.
There's certain markets that we do really well in, and I'm so grateful for those. But unless people buy merch and tip well and do all those things, most of the time it's going to be an L. There's this guy that came up, and he's talking to me at the end of the gig, and like I was a little put off by the show in general, so I didn't want to chat. And I hear him go up to my drummer. He goes, "Hey man, how much would it cost to buy you your dream drum set?" And my drummer's like, "Dude, fuck off." You know, dumb question. I don't care. So then he goes to the bass player. His name's Kanan, who's like the sweetest, will entertain anything, whatever. So this guy sticks around the entire time we're breaking down. The club is cleared out. It's pretty much the bartender, the manager, the three of us, and this guy. He's like, "Let me help carry some stuff out." And I'm like, "Whatever, dude. Sure, I'd love that. That'd be great. Why not?" But like, I'm a little annoyed.
Yeah.
This club's at the bottom of a stairwell. Above it's like this beautiful like Michelin star restaurant, and the bottom is this like awesome little rock club.
Right.
So he helps us carry stuff outside. He's hanging out for a little bit. We're having a smoke. We're talking for a minute. We get in the car. Everything's loaded up. We're pulling away. He goes, "Dude, that guy just hit me up on PayPal." I was like, "How much did he send you?" $7,500.
Shut the fuck up.
And I'm like, he did not. He goes,
That's
dude,
wild.
he did. He goes, I got his phone number. I'll text him, make sure he really wants to do that. And confirmed, he's like, dude, that's yours.
Holy
so then I'm like,
shit.
dude, we had to figure out how to process this through the legal lens of our business. So I was like, all right, so you have to send that to my PayPal. We have to pay transaction fees on that. That'll go through the business. I'll pay you guys out on your check. We split that 3 ways. It's like, dude, I started my Roth IRA with that.
That's amazing,
some guys bought
dude.
instruments. Some guys paid off stuff. It's like, people don't understand that they can make such a huge change. Like, when he sent that, he knew that we were all going to be like, shut the fuck up. There's no way.
And he kind of he probably paid himself just to be some guy that was like, I like you were like, all right, dude. But, you know, that's like
exactly
1 out of every 1,000. You're like.
Yes. And it changed the way I felt. You know, even now, it's like, for all the gigs that I've lost money on, that guy saw something in us that made him say, I want to make sure this keeps going.
All worth it.
Yeah. And I'll forever ride on that memory. You know, and again, I put that money in a place that's gonna be a retirement for me at some point. It's like that's such a crazy thing to be able to do for folks. And with extreme affluence and cash flow, like, you do whatever you want with that money, but sometimes people bless you in a way that's just incomprehensible.
Yep. I've had that bartending a couple times at the previous restaurant, and my intention as an owner, I wish every bartender would look at it like as an owner, but is never to, like, you know, I love bartending slow nights because I get to know the customers.
Yeah.
I'm like just having conversation with people like, where are you from? Like, dude, it's such a small world. Like, sometimes you end up knowing the people or knowing people that know the people, but getting to know them. And when the customer sees that you're actually being genuine, you'd be surprised how much more of a tip I would get than bartenders that were working for me. They were like, oh, well, because you're the owner, you give away free drinks. I was like, I didn't give away one free thing. Like, we just had a genuine conversation.
Yeah.
So
it's weird the way that people go to these places for that thing. Like, there's a lot of folks that come to hear me in a week that I would call them like unoptional friends in some ways. It's like, I make myself available to you, and you might be the only person listening to me tonight. And sometimes I can't talk for the entire break, but sometimes we will. We'll get on a subject that might be extremely personal, or it might be just saying that you just want to air for random sake and talk through shit.
That's important, though.
Totally. And those people, they make the time for you. Like, I got a guy that comes to gigs. His name's Matt Waters. And he's bought a lot of merch, and he always tells me, like, I wear this shit to the bank. And I'm like, that's funny as fuck. You go.
That is funny.
But, like, the first time I met this guy, he comes up to me, he has tears in his eyes, and he goes, I think you're a message to me from my deceased wife. And I was like, what? He's like, it's my birthday. I love live music. I came here to see something. I'm missing her terribly. And you come in, and we share a name, and you play this music that makes me dance and feel a thing. And it's like, he's come to every show at that club since then.
That is wild.
I love you, Matt Waters. Like, that's my brother.
That's amazing.
But you never know when someone's going to come to you with something that is so necessary at that moment in time.
Right.
And you're just like, fuck, man, this job is worth it for all the bad days.
Yeah. No, I've met a lot of DJs that, you know, are newer to the game, and even older DJs are learning from each other. And it's like, to be able to, like, bless somebody and you don't even know it is, man, that's the best. And that's just because you're doing something you love. So imagine, like, if I was, like, out committing a crime, I'd be like, yo, man, like hold on, dude.
Let me take you under my wing, bro.
Right. Like, no, but when you're doing something you love and, like, people appreciate it, and you could be having the worst day of your life. And I'm like, I'm on this grill, and I'm like, fucking taco right here.
Dude.
And then somebody's like, it's the best taco right here. I'm like, fuck. It's all right, man.
I guess I am happy to do this. Dude, how do you deal with, like, people that are either beginners in DJing, or they're pretending like they're beginners and they just want to tell you about, like, them getting into it kind of thing? Like, do you entertain that?
It shows real quick. I'm very, 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 I'm very even with anybody who wants to learn, but their wanting to learn only goes past their word. So if I had $1 for every person that told me, I want to learn how to DJ, I'm like, all right, cool, $15 an hour. You can come to my house, got a studio set up. Nobody follows through. Nobody ever really follows through. I mean, the people that do want to follow through, I mean, they're already doing it. So, but
you got to go with a pay up front policy right now.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't care about the money. It's like,
no, okay.
I won't even charge them, like, for real. But it's like, Yeah, you can tell. Like when somebody's faking the funk, you can tell.
Dude, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. Can I steal that line from you? Fuck you. No one take this on the internet. That's faking the funk is hard.
So you can always tell, but you kind of. I don't like calling people like that out anymore because they burn themselves eventually, and it's just too much energy taken away from me. It used to bother me a lot because I was in the Marine Corps, and I've met a lot of people who are like out in the industry, and they're always like, "Oh yeah, I'm a veteran." I'm like, "Oh yeah," like, and then people will like lie to other ones, and then I like talk to them like, "So where were you?" And they're like, "Well, I was," and I'm like, "Oh shit, you were never in," and I can tell like within the first 2 minutes of a conversation, and I'm like, all right, so I just walk away because I could be like, "No, you're fucking lying." I'm like, it's not worth it.
No, it's
I'm
like,
just like,
you
got bigger
volunteered at the
issues if
dog
you're gonna
pound.
lie. Yeah, like if you're lying about DJing, if you're lying about the veteran shit, if you're just lying about like life shit, you got bigger issues than what I want to comprehend. I'm gonna walk away because I got way more shit to do than calling you out. I was like, you've already made up in your head this lie.
Yeah.
I'm not about to be like I'm not be like you're lying. You'll be like, you know what, you were right. No,
You're not gonna have some profound
right.
moment.
Like I'm not gonna change your life. You spent a lot of time making up these stories.
Yeah. Did you find that were you a no bullshit guy before you went to the Marine Corps, or did that eradicate your ability to take in bullshit?
Man, so like high school I won like class clown. I was always the funniest and shit like that. Marine Corps kind of definitely hardened me up. But Marine Corps I was just like a shit talker. Like, they would know me as Arana like, "Oh, you're coming around like you shut your bitch ass." Like we just cuss a lot in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
It's literally all cuss words.
As you should.
But yeah, as we came back, I mean, it was like definitely some changes, like having like initial like PTSD when I came back from Iraq in 2010. I remember like my cousin picked me up from Oceanside or Pendleton, Camp Pendleton, because that's where we deployed out of. And when we were in Iraq, we would do missions where it was like we were the only ones on the highway. So like when we got on the highway in LA, I was like freaking the fuck out. I was like, why is this car so close? And I'm like, and then I called myself. I was like, all right, relax. And my cousin would look at me like, you good? And I'm like, yeah. And then I'd be like, hold on, we're back in the States. Like, so it's just initial, changed a lot. I don't want to say I'm a lot more serious. I think what kicked in a lot after deployment and everything like that was like depression. So I'm a lot more reserved and quiet to myself. Like once you get to know me, like I'm a fucking idiot and I'm a teddy bear. Like I'll take care of anybody. But anybody that doesn't know me, they're like, that dude's a dick. He's got a resting bitch face. I'm like, you're right, but you don't know me. But
yeah,
it did change a lot of, I guess.
You're someone that the folks that have won the opportunity to be in your circle are forever grateful for that. You do great things for the people you care about.
Nah, we do great things for each other, man. You gotta help
I
each
hear you.
other.
But what was it like to learn how to cope with those feelings of just like being overwhelmed by trying to act like a civilian and having the experiences you did?
It's tough, man, because it teaches you to be grateful, but it also it's depressing sometimes when I become ungrateful. When I'm like, I forget what I've been through. Like, it's almost 12 years since I was in country over there. It's like, damn, time flies, and sometimes I can become ungrateful. Sometimes I forget, and I'm like, I got to remind myself, and it's all about being able to take that step back and being like, okay, because the military life to civilian life is, different. I think people in America feel like we're in a protected bubble. We're not. Like, anything could happen at any time. People here are complacent.
Is it weird to talk to people about that and have them really not comprehend what you're saying? It's like, even you say that to me, it's like, we're in the land of the free, home of the brave, baby. Like, there's ARs on the street. I know there is. It's like, that doesn't save you from any threats that are out there, and you know what those threats can look like.
Yeah, it can be weird. Some people don't comprehend. Some people are comfortable. I always encourage people to travel outside the country to really understand like the way that people view America. Mm-hmm. I'm 100% grateful to be here. I wouldn't have it any other way. But I think a lot of Americans need to be a little bit more open-minded to what can happen. I mean, a shooting at a movie theater. Somebody could have avoided that if we weren't as complacent. But at the same time, we also shouldn't be scared to be at a movie theater.
Yeah.
But I've had that thought of anxiety when I've been in a movie theater. I'm like, all right, we got these 2 exits here. Where can I leave? Where's the emergency? Like, people are like, I'm here to see a movie, which is right, but there's a lot of bad people in the world that.
Yeah. And learning how to be tuned into that. You don't strike me as the type of guy that when you're flying and they say military service members or veterans get on, it's like you don't strike me as the kind of guy that gets in.
No. Listen, I'll ask for my discount when I'm purchasing stuff.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I'm not like, no, there's so many people in the industry that don't even know that I was in the military. Like, I never knew that you were in. I'm like, I don't really talk about it. Like, I will talk about it. I'm proud of it and everything like that, but it's not something that's like cool. Like, I don't know. It's just, it was a part of my life.
It's not a token you play off, and I think the servicemen that really do have love and respect for what that time in their life taught them, but also what they fought for, tend not to play that card the way that, like the Stolen Valor thing is a hilarious, YouTube compilation to go through, because just like, it should be the most embarrassing thing that any of these idiots have ever done. Yeah. But it still happens out there, and people still don't fucking get it. Yeah. So when you went to Guadalajara, was this strictly a work trip to try to investigate new ideas for the restaurant?
I had a lot of fun. Didn't really drink much out there until I got to Tulum, but it was a work trip, but it was more of like, I think we were working on my Jeep, and my dad came up to me, and he's like, hey, like, let's go to Mexico, like, because my mom kept asking me, and then for my dad to ask is like another thing, but I'm like, my parents are getting older. I was like, I don't know when the next time that I'll be able to travel to Mexico with them. Yeah. So my dad was like, come to Mexico, I'll pay for the whole trip, and I'm like, all right, let's go. But I was like,
first class or nothing.
Right. For him to say that, I was like, damn, like, I was like, all right, let me see if I can move some things around. He didn't pay for the whole trip. But let me see if I
got a discount.
Right. Let me see if I can move some things around. And I was like, you know what? I don't know when the next time that I'll have an opportunity to go to Mexico with my parents. So I flew out to LA. I bought all my flights on like Southwest points. I had this credit card. I didn't know I had all these points. And I'm like, $5 for LA. So I went from LA, did some market research out there for the restaurant. Ate at a place in Hollywood that is beautiful. It's kind of like what I want the patio to look like at Tulum. Took a bunch of pictures, notes, everything like that. Great. And then I went into Mexico, met up with my family in Guadalajara, and then we went to their small towns. My mom, the town that she's from, she invested some money into putting like a new bell into the church. So there was like the inauguration, there was parties, and it was cool. But, like while being out there and spending time with family, also, hey, how much is this tequila? What tequila's new? What's hitting here? The mezcal's starting to blow up. So if you get a little bit of a head start on what you want your product to be here in the U.S., you start to see, okay, the trend is starting to come it's usually from west to east. So just picking up all that information, and then spent time in Guadalajara. I got the recipes for like the churros, was testing some shit out there, and then I was like, okay, let's go to Tulum.
Dude, what? So I'm sure your Spanish is great, but like, what kind of personal connection do you need to be like? Can I get your recipe for this? Like, what kind of sweet talking do you need to do?
So it wasn't like we asked like that. Like, we tried a bunch of different spots. Like, I tried some in LA, and then I tried some in Guadalajara, and I was just kind of like, I didn't ask. I was just kind of like looking over the counter, and this guy had like this bag of dough, and like he was like on the other side serving burgers, and then one side serving churros, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, all right. But he like just grabbed the bag and pulled the dough out and started rolling it and put a little flour, and I'm like, all right, mental note. And everything I'm like observing, I'm like, okay, cool. And then he had like, when the churro was done, he cut it, put the caramel in the middle, and then he had his toppings. Like if you're at an ice cream, like, okay, you want chocolate? And I'm like, holy shit, like genius. Yeah. But it's just such a low cost, simple, like it costs nothing to have flour and yeast. Like what's going to take time is me going into the restaurant early in the morning and being able to prep for that. But yeah, it was just a great learning experience.
That's awesome.
I mean,
was there anything that you tried there that like wasn't on your docket that really blew your fucking mind? You're like, we're bringing this back, baby.
Oh man, when I went to Tulum, I was at a bar and I was like, let me try your 3 best mezcal. So he gave me a flight of 3, and then he had crickets. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, crickets? He's like, yeah, like I've never had crickets.
And like it was like a palate cleanser?
Yeah, they were just, so you take one, and I'm like, they were just, it tasted like crunchy, salty, just like a crunchy, salty snack.
Are you going to have crickets for mezcal flights?
Look, the health department would have a fucking nightmare.
You think so?
I don't know. The health department in the U.S. is so different than Mexico. I mean, out there, they're cutting steak on wood.
For sure.
Here, it's
But if you went to Jungle Gyms right now and said, I need edible crickets that are FDA approved, like...
Look... It's not off the menu.
Okay, cool. Nice,
It's not
nice,
off the menu.
nice.
Any idea that anybody gives me, I'm like, how can we run with this? I'm never gonna say no. But it's also me. I'm just like, yeah, let's add this to the menu today. But then I'm like, all right, Lucy or Eva or my mom, like, look, we got it. And they're like, no, it's too. I'm like, all right, then that's my stopping point. But right now, my sister's been agreeing with me nonstop, so it might happen.
Yeah, I think that'd be such an interesting, like, man, I've seen this online. You got to do this thing. Like, you got to try it. It's
What's
like,
the one place? Oh, that place in Cincinnati, the cricket place? I'm like, it's things like that is like,
yes.
Yeah.
And it's not a gimmick. It's a utilitarian part of going and getting the mezcal flight. It's like, that's such a cool thing.
Look, you'll have my word on this. I will speak to somebody tomorrow in Northern Kentucky Health Department and said, what do you guys think about serving crickets? And see what
cool.
Let me see what the vibe is first.
Why you got to do that? You got to have to bag in hand. So what do you guys think about eating crickets, like serving these at the restaurant?
Oh my gosh!
Because I'm having fun,
Oh man,
cricket.
They're like, these permits, we're not gonna approve them. Let me get them back real quick. No,
or real supervillain shit. Hit them with a yawn. Yawn's infectious. They open. Bang, idiot. You know what I'm talking about? You cricket.
Yeah, we're definitely not opening if that's the case.
So it's gonna be in Northern Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky. Yeah, it's in Bellevue.
Nice.
Used to be a restaurant called Nomad, so it's got like a big patio in front. But we have demolished the whole place, complete full remodel. Tulum, if anybody has ever been to Tulum, it's like 2 hours south of Cancun. I spent a week there because I was like, we're going to name a restaurant Tulum, might as well go.
Yeah.
See what it looks like. And it's jungle themed. I mean, I think we got the wallpaper like 2 weeks ago. Got to my house. It's like a mural wallpaper of just jungle. And then, man, me and my little sister started building this live plant wall. I don't think I'll ever do that again. It's tedious, so
for sure, dude.
But it's a lot of work to it. So like, respect to the people. But this is like a custom wall when you walk in. It'll be a big plant wall, and then I cut out the letters Tulum. We're gonna backlight it, put a couch in front of it. So it'll be one of those when you walk in. This is the Instagram wall part.
Yeah.
But there's just so many different touches that are happening that makes it, like I said, the family spot. But you guys are gonna love how beautiful this place is.
I'm thrilled to see it. I'm
thrilled for you to play. You gotta make some time, man.
Dude, you let me know.
I need Matt Waters on the patio ASAP.
I'm there as soon as you want me, and if we can get regular, I'll get regular. I support whatever you do, though. Also, if we can do something with Dave Campbell, that sounds rad.
Oh yeah,
fun.
we talked about
yeah,
that, man.
Dude.
That was a good conversation that one night.
You just need semi-truck parking.
Yeah, I'm wearing cowboy hat that day.
Dude, I'll do the same. Let's fill up both in cowboy hats. See if he doesn't wear one. I'll be like, what the fuck, Dave?
No, shout out to Dave.
Do you have an idea of what the hours are going to be? Are you all going to late night?
So, yeah, we're going to do our tentative opening date. We haven't announced yet. It's May 18th, but it's very, very tentative. Hours are going to be, we're going to try to push, I'm trying to push lunch as much as possible. So it'll be like 11 a.m. to like 2 p.m. We're going to close. And then we're going to open back up 4 p.m. till about 10 p.m. during the week. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays will be open all day, 11 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays, 2 a.m. Don't want to piss off the neighbors too bad right now, so we're just focusing on food. Entertainment will come and go. But when you're in a new spot, you got to focus on, the city, what the city would want from you and what you can do for the city. So we're not here to take away from the city. We're here to add. Yeah. And I live a block away. I've been there for 10 years. So Bellevue is an awesome city. They got the Dora district, so it's you can walk around with the cups and everything. And quiet. It's just something different, something different than I'm so used to the banks. I'm like, you know what? A lot of people have been asking, like, man, we just want to be able to have a beer somewhere, have a drink somewhere. I'm like, hopefully just provide a good experience for people.
Yeah. But I think on the entertainment side, too, it's like there's tons of places that built their brand around being 7 nights a week. Like Strauss House is one of the few places in town that still does that, and I love and respect them for that. But I think it's also special where it's like, hey, what we do here is food and drink. And if you look at the events on our Facebook, you'll know where we're going to have live entertainment. Yeah. But if you start blowing your budget on that thing, it's like, I've had a couple places recently that they've overinvested in their entertainment. They're bouncing checks. They're having a hard time with scheduling. It's just like, you made a fucking mess out of a place that isn't a venue, so don't pretend like you are. Do events, make them great.
Do for what it is.
Exactly.
Don't force it.
Yeah, quit trying to be everything all at once and finding out that you do them all poorly.
Yeah. Focus on one thing, and it's like, our thing is food.
Yeah.
We're focusing on food, and I know food's probably the hardest to profit off of, But if we can do the best off food, then the rest will come.
Yeah.
Entertainment-wise, I'm a DJ. And, I mean, you know how much I love DJing and what I'm about, the culture and passion. I'm like, right now, I'm not having DJs. Like, we'll have DJs on special events.
Yeah.
But I'm not, this isn't a nightclub. I mean, I had some people inquire me about, like, hey, I'm a bottle girl. I'm like, we're not that kind of spot. Like, and I need
I'm
to
a
get
bottle,
that.
dude,
right,
that's
like,
so
I need to
funny.
get that mentality. Like, look, we're going to be a restaurant. We're going to be known for food.
Yeah.
If every once in a while, you know, you're eating a taco and you start playing guitar on the patio, then that's a blessing.
Yeah.
That, like, you got to see something cool. But
Yeah.
it's not going to be something that's expected all the time. What is expected all the time is good food.
Yes, absolutely. And also, with the staffing, it's like, thank God you have someone that does specialize in HR. Because when you go back, you want to see familiar faces. There's nothing more disturbing than the turnover of places that you love to go to. And you're like, what is wrong here that my favorite bartender couldn't stick around?
Right.
You know, and it's like...
That's what I told the bartenders. Anybody that I hire, I'm always like, look, I want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to be happy about that meeting of don't take advantage of me. I'm not going to take advantage of you. I'm your boss, but I don't know any better. I'm your boss, but I can, you know, here's your schedule, whatnot, but I can learn from you. Let's grow. Like, this is a family business. If your staff isn't happy, man, they're just, that could be, detrimental to your business. But don't let them walk all over you either, so.
No, certainly not. And you do a good job of walking that line. But anything else you want to promote on the way out?
Matt Waters and the recipe.
You a sweet motherfucker. Thank you.
No, man, that's about it. Tulum, like I said, just keep an eye out. Tentative grand opening date, May 18th.
Any pages to follow on?
Tulum KY on Instagram, Tulum on Facebook, KY. But yeah,
No
hope
jelly?
to see you guys soon. Huh?
No KY jelly?
No KY jelly.
Come
on. We're doing it dry.
How about
Starting dry?
Okay, opening night, crickets and KY.
Yeah. Tulum K.
You dirty. Dude, I've been putting together a lot of furniture at the new home. If you need an idiot with an Allen wrench, I'm your fucking guy.
Man.
Let me know what the patio furniture.
I'm going to call you here in 10 minutes.
Dude, I'll show up for at least one day of it. I'd like to see what's going on. I'll try
man, I'll give you the sneak peek if you're around or whatnot. I'll give you the sneak peek. I mean, we got a huge pallet coming in probably at the end of next week. Getting everything shipped from Mexico, so it's all like custom designed, and
that's awesome.
It's like I said, it's got the personal touch.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm excited about it. You're a bad motherfucker, Richie. I love you dearly.
Man. Thank you.
Friends of the internet, thanks for watching. As always, peace in the meantime.